for joining me today and being my first test case bunny as I start my online workshops. I'm going to be interviewing a few different people along the way, and you sprang to mind because of the conference that we've just had and your presentation that you did there, and I just found it so intriguing. So let's just start maybe for our broader audience. Can you introduce yourself and your B&B and where you are in the world?
Yes, indeed. Well, hello, good morning, Donna. Thank you very much for asking me to chat today. So, my name is Scott McPherson, or Scott Richards McPherson, taking on the second name of my beloved as well. A little bit about ourselves. Well, we've been in business since about 2017. Chris and I have been together since 2014, and we just wanted to do something which could involve both of our skills working together. My background is in sales and marketing. Chris is in interior design and landscaping and things like that. And we thought, well, what's something we could do together? And then we came upon the idea of a bed and breakfast as being a unique opportunity to work together. So we purchased the property we're living in now near Tauramanui. We purchased this in 2017. At the time, it was a family home, private family home with 5,500 acres of sheep and beef. We didn't need 5,500 acres, so we bought 10 of those and the house. So we thought immediately the house could convert very well to a bed and breakfast. It's a big house. It's about 400 square meters, architecturally designed in the 70s. That's in a good 70s way, not in a bad 70s way. So there's no yellow glass or anything. So we set about converting the house into a beautiful bed and breakfast / luxury lodge. So we've introduced basically a plan over the years of how to do that. So the first year we were there, we converted an unused games room into a self-contained apartment. And in the second year, we then renovated all of the ground floor bedrooms and added en suites to 2 of them. And then since then, we've sort of concentrated on the business. COVID put things on a bit of a back burner. But we've started building a new guest cottage in the grounds. And we're looking forward to the future.
Scott, it's quite a big change, right? Working from home like that. So
yes.
How would you describe the change in your life from life before B&B to life now? What are sort of the main changes that you've seen?
Well, it is an interesting one, because in my years in the corporate world, I found I didn't like working from home. I like being in an office. I like the camaraderie of working with the team, with having all the resources you can need around you. And so, of course, when you start working from home, doing a bed and breakfast or accommodation, all of a sudden you're the team. So myself and Chris, we are the team. There is nobody there to help with anything else. There is no, nice equipment to do beautiful printing and laminating. It's everything we do, we have to do ourselves. So I suppose that was probably the biggest change there, I think, was just having to come to that whole, changing that mindset of actually working at home and making your home not only your home, but your business as well. But I think as well as that, the most important thing and probably the most challenging thing is learning how to live and work with your partner in life. So being a partner in life as well as a partner in business, that was probably, I think, for me, the biggest change in mindset that was required. It's worked very well for us. We find that we work very well together. Our skills are complementary, so we're not treading on each other's toes. We've both got very distinct skill sets which complement the others. I think
that's
maybe
probably a good. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but that's probably a good thing in any business, right? Where you've kind of defined your roles, if you like, even though you're working from home, that you've got skill sets in sales and marketing here, but you've got other skill sets. I know you've got a beautiful property in gardening and working around the home that way. So it's a very good idea, actually, to have that done right at the very beginning. You've been in business since 2017. It's probably a short period of time, but have you seen any changes over that time?
I would say yes and no. Yes, we have seen changes. How many of those are due to straight changes or just because of the effect of COVID? It's hard to say. But I think I think the biggest change for us is where our guests are coming from and what guests are actually wanting. And I think, when we first opened, our prices were deliberately low because we wanted to get people in, give them a beautiful experience, and build up reviews and build up publicity. And so we found that the majority of our guests were actually New Zealanders for the first 2 years of operation. And in fact, in the 12 months leading up to March 2020, we were about 80% New Zealand tourists as opposed to international. That really had surprised us. It really did surprise us. However, we found through COVID and now moving ahead, we're finding we're starting to pick up more and more of the internationals. I think we sort of had to repivot because we decided once COVID hit, we remained quite busy through COVID. But we quickly realised that if we were relying on just a very narrow New Zealand-centric market, there's going to come a point where everybody who wants to come to Tauramanui has actually been to Tauramanui. And so we thought, well, as well as that, we know we've got such unique experiences in this area to offer people. As, we want to actually be introducing these to international travellers as well. So I think, the biggest change for us has been actually learning to pivot towards the overseas market and all that entails.
Yeah, it's a good point, because a lot of our B&Bs especially are working in the international market. But some people want to, but don't have an idea of where to start. For you to start that process, what did you do?
First thing we did was we started sounding out other members of the Bed and Breakfast Association and other people we knew within the industry, because we thought people who are already doing such a thing would be able to give us some of that stuff which we wanted to know. We read a couple of online guides. We read useful stuff from the Bed and Breakfast Association just to get a handle on what was required. But we really wanted to have that real-world communication with people who were working with the inbound operators, just to find out what it was like for them. So that was really where we started, with the Bed and Breakfast Association and with other operators. Yeah,
so you're obviously one of these people that do think that you need to have these broader connections, right? With a business association or even in your local community. Have you created any other connections within your local community as well that has actually helped your business at all?
Yeah, we certainly have, and I think what you said is quite correct. It's there's no point being a lone wolf when it comes to being, particularly. I mean, it would be very easy to live in a silo and say that this is our bed and breakfast. We've got this lovely silo. We've got these nice bookends. This is how we operate. We don't need anybody else. That's not how reality works, of course. So in order to really make sure we're involving as many people as possible, the minute we moved to Tauramanui, we started networking and connecting with the council, with other activity providers locally, just talking to everybody from the start about this is what our plans are. How was this fit in with where you're going with what your plans are? Visit Ruapehu with some of the other activities like Forgotten World Adventures. Just saying to these organisations, we're here to actually add to what is out there. We're not here to try and steal from you. We're not here to compete with you, although competition is good. We're here to work together. And I think that has worked really, really well, but building up these networking with these other businesses. But I think what also worked for us from a local point of view was actually becoming involved in the community. Now, a lot of people might say, well, being involved in the community, how is that leading to directly to sales and to that sort of thing? And our point of view was it was never intended to. Being involved in the community means that we've got the community supporting us and supporting what we're trying to do. We're giving back, so the community supports what we're trying to do. We don't have roadblocks put up, people pass on our name and that sort of thing. But the whole aim from our point of view was, hey, we're doing something that's different. We're wanting to bring people to the area. If we're involved in the community, then the community is going to be happy about that. If we're involved with other organisations, they're going to be happy about that.
Yeah, so it is important to pull people along with you. And talking about that, it's been quite a challenging year for us here in New Zealand. We have come out of COVID. However, we've had some wonderful weather impacts on our country, which has settled again now. So right at this minute, is there any sort of challenging pain points that you're facing in your business at the moment?
Well, I think the biggest, probably the biggest one is the fact that I think hosted accommodation, or accommodation in general, but hosted in particular, I think is still being seen as expendable. Particularly after COVID, with people watching their pennies, I think the biggest challenge for the accommodation industry is we are seen as expendable. there are so many competitors out there, and to actually exist in this business and to do well and succeed, you need to do something a little bit better. So
yes,
that is the challenge. The pain point is the fact there's so much else out there. The challenge is how to actually move beyond that, I think.
yes, yeah. So what sort of things have you done to try and mitigate some of these pain points that we're facing at the moment?
Well, we decided we didn't want to be seen as an expendable accommodation option. However, we all had to be realistic and realise that not everybody is going to be in a position to actually come and spend a night or two here, whether it's financial or for other purposes. They may not be able to do that. But we still wanted to be able to share something and offer something, which means that people might be able to experience a little bit of what we have to offer. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're trying to give back as well. We're blessed to be in beautiful property. We want to give back. So, okay, so if people aren't able to come and stay here for whatever reason, what else can we offer to allow people to experience what we've got? So we looked at a number of things over the years. Some have worked well, some less so, but we've tried a number of things. And I think we tried things like offering our space to local businesses for business meetings during the day. I mean, we've got an unused formal dining room and formal living room, which aren't used when guests aren't here. So we thought, well, let's see if any local businesses are interested. We've had some. To be honest, in Tauramanui, you're not going to get many, so it is what it is. But still got one who uses us regularly, which is great. I think leading on to that there's sort of allowed us to think of another area which we could try and draw more people through the door and draw more awareness. And that was having we do catered private functions here. And that was, we started getting approached by people saying, well, hey, we hear that your space is available for, say, a business meeting and lunch, but how about, are we able to come and use your formal rooms and you can provide us with high tea or scones or perhaps a formal or something? And we found that actually really worked really well, because you're getting obviously, usually that's organised by locals, but you get people from out of the area who come in, say, for a nice lunch, and then they're saying, oh, I'm pleased to be here in Tauramanui. I want to know a little bit more about what is in the area and that sort of thing. So that has helped us to probably go beyond being expendable accommodation. These are sort of small, more local things as well, though. And we wanted to look further afield and see how we can attract people from elsewhere in New Zealand. What are ways we can encourage people to come to this area? So I think weddings was probably a really big one for us. Entirely accidental. We didn't set out to be a wedding venue. We didn't set out to marry people. We were actually asked by guests who were staying with us. They wanted to get married here, and we said, okay, I suppose, but that's fine. You can use the grounds. And they said, no, we want you to marry us here. And so immediately we're thinking, well, okay, so that was something which we hadn't identified. Those guests looked at what we had to offer and said, hey, here's something else you could do that would actually really be appealing. And so we thought, well, this is great. This is a great idea. If they can think like this, there are going to be other people out there. So we developed wedding packages. I became a licensed celebrant. And, we've done a number of weddings since then. Only the smaller ones. We're not interested in the bigger weddings. We like doing the smaller, intimate weddings where we can really personally interact with the bride, the groom, or the groom, the bride, whatever. We can interact with everybody here. And that's really, really helped to actually draw people from all over New Zealand, we've found. Our next wedding is coming up as a couple who live in Christchurch. Bizarrely, they came to stay with us here in their camper van last Christmas. They were only here one night, and the impact of their time here was so great that they contacted us a couple of months ago and just said, hey, listen, we just loved our time there. It felt so special. We loved you guys as a host. We love what you had to offer. We know that you do these small weddings. Can we book one? Wow. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So so there was something else where we could have been seen as just expendable accommodation or just a campsite at that particular point. Yeah. And instead, hey, there is something more that is on offer here. There is something more that we want to do that's actually going to share Omaka with more people than just ourselves.
Do you think there's a market there, Scott, for people from overseas coming to get married and accommodations such as yours?
Yes, there certainly is, and we've had quite a few inquiries. Excuse me. Yeah. From my point of view, we have only accepted one so far, mainly from my point of view as the celebrant, more from a legal point of view. And I do highly personalised ceremonies, so I do like to get to know people beforehand a little bit. And we found with some of the overseas weddings, they're not really interested in in an intimate, personalised ceremony, they're really just wanting something that's very cookie cutter. Which is fine. I mean, there's lots of places can do things like that. That's not really us. So, you know, in those cases, we just say to them, hey, yes, we're happy to do this. Something we're happy to do if you want. However, you might be better off looking at somewhere else because we like to really give you that personal attention and really do that something extra that makes you feel that it's more than just an accommodation. It's more than just a wedding. It's actually a celebration.
That's a good point, even about our businesses, though, is, you know, getting in front of any guests' expectations and to say, actually, this is the way that we do things. And this is the type of experience that you will be having. If that's not for you, then perhaps we're not the right place for you. So it does mitigate any problems or challenges that you might have with guests if they know exactly what to expect.
I'd say so, and I think that's a learning which we didn't actually have at first. I think that's something we learned as we went along, and I think, you know, when we're talking about challenges about business, one of the challenges is actually being confident in who you are. And I think when we, you know, first started offering the wedding packages and that, we weren't necessarily confident that people would want these small intimate packages we were doing. So as a result, you know, a couple of times people would ask for things and we say yes, when actually you look back and think that really wasn't us. Yes, they might have had a great experience, but it wasn't what we really want to do. You know, and it makes it a little bit harder, but then we find also communicating with people actually helps as well. I mean, you know, we've got one wedding inquiry coming up and where they want to have pretty much double the numbers we have for our small intimate weddings. So we've gone back to them and said, we normally don't do this, and here's why, because we'd like to give you this beautiful experience. We've said to them, in that case, we've said, yes, we are happy to do that because of your situation, but we need to work together to make sure this is a success and to make sure that this is what you want it to be. So we've gone back to them and said, you know, we will make this work. We will be doing this, but here's what you are going to need to do to make sure it works as per your expectations. And we're going to work together to make this a beautiful thing.
Do you think, quite true, and I just think that I'm thinking about even my corporate career and things like that is just managing those expectations, because my background in hotels was that, you know, people would say, oh, well, could we just add 10 more guests when we knew we were at capacity? And we would say, oh, well, no, but then they'd say, yes, please, please, please. So then you would give them that, but their experience wasn't, we didn't manage that to say, well, if you do that, this is what's going to happen. You know, you're going to be squashed and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so thanks for bringing all of that up, because I think that's a really important business lesson for all of us. Have you got any wins that you can think of that over in business or even within the last year that you think, actually, yeah, we're doing this right, we've got this?
It's hard to say. It's no huge wins as such, more a series of smaller wins, I would say, and wins in every area that we're operating. And I think that's what we're sort of aiming for. I think, you know, in a hosted accommodation, it's really hard to say that you've got a big win. Say it's more about you aiming for all the smaller things. I think probably for us, the win is the feedback that we get from our guests, the positivity that they share with others, that they share through online reviewing platforms, where they're communicating how the experience went with us, with our property, and how they felt about that. And I think for us, the win is reading those and knowing that we're doing something that, not only doing something right, but actually something that gave them a beautiful experience. Because I mean, it's one thing to just, you know, to be a good B&B host is one thing. To actually give people this beautiful experience where they feel they've got added value is a whole other matter. And I think that's been I would say our biggest win, is actually seeing feedback from people who have just said how much their stay here has impacted them. You know, and that has really amazed us. Some people feel very, very deeply about the time that they've had here and the experience they've had with us. That I won't say it becomes moving, but it certainly becomes very humbling. And I think that is that's always lovely to know that you're doing a good job. I mean, you know, once again, it comes back to having confidence in what you're doing and knowing that you are offering a good service, but to actually reach people on the levels where you get some of the glowing reviews, to me, that is the biggest win.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like you're continually moving that needle forward. You know, it's not doing a big jump, but it's getting more and more honed into a place where you feel really comfortable with your business. We're heading towards summer in New
Yeah.
Zealand, thank goodness for that.
Ah.
We're looking forward to it. We both got our long sleeves on, so you wouldn't tell at the minute. But is there anything that you'll be doing different this summer, or will it be business as usual?
No, this summer we're changing things quite a bit. We've decided that we want to pivot away from the New Zealand market to the international market as well, which has caused quite a bit of deep thought and discussion between myself and Chris, and also with other operators recently. How to do this? We want to attract more of the international market, but of course, to deal with the international market, you've got to pay quite high commissions, which was also a mindset changing that. But we've decided, hey, we're going to do that. We're doing higher commissions. The reality is that our room rate has had to go up to a little to compensate that, which means we're now going to reduce our appeal to the New Zealand market. Simple way around that is we're offering 2 and 3 night packages to the New Zealand market, so people can still afford to stay here if they really want to, and we want them to as well. And repeat guests always get a good rate anyway, because that's, people you like, you want to see them again. But yeah, I think that's what's going to be really different for us, to be actually really rethinking how we're doing things, because it's when you get a lot more internationals coming in, you forget that they don't actually know New Zealand. They don't know how New Zealand culture works. They don't know little things like pressing down a plunger on a plunger of coffee, for example. Yes. So I think, we're really prepared to be getting all the forward bookings we've got so far are through these inbound operators. And we're really looking forward to being able to share our little touch of paradise here in Tauramanui in New Zealand with the rest of the world. So yeah, we're looking forward to a really, really good summer. Hopefully, it will be a lot better than the last couple of summers when we've been reckoning with COVID and other things.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, that's actually quite a nice way to round everything off. But it would be really nice to let people know what your website is, if you wouldn't mind just telling us now.
Indeed. So we are Omaka Lodge, and so that is www.omakalodge.nz. Omaka is O-M for Mary, A-K-A-L-O-D-G-E, and then .nz. Basically, you can find us if you search for 5-star accommodation, Tauramanui, or Forgotten World accommodation, you'll find us as well.
Lovely. And what I'll do is I'll pop all your contact details underneath in case somebody just wants to come and stay and experience the Omaka Lodge experience. But hey, Scott, thank you so much, and all the best for the season ahead. But you have been the most perfect person to interview at the beginning of my whole webinar series. So thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you, Donna. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.